You're saying their name, you're giving the cue, you know they heard you. And the way they don't respond feels personal. I'm Em, a dog trainer and canine nutritionist that works with overwhelmed dog parents who love their dogs deeply but feel stuck, burned out, or unsure what their dog actually needs. And today we're going to talk about 3 things that tend to come up when it feels like your dog just isn't listening. In this episode, we'll talk about what might actually be happening when your dog doesn't respond, why calling it disobedience often makes things feel heavier, not clearer, and what can shift when you stop asking for compliance and start noticing communication. This is one of the most common frustrations I hear. My dog knows better. They're ignoring me. They're being stubborn. And I get why it feels that way, especially when you're tired, already stretched thin, and just need things to be a little bit easier for the rest of the day. You might recognize this moment. You ask for something simple, something reasonable. And instead of cooperation, you get nothing, or barking, or walking away, or freezing. And that is usually when the frustration creeps in. Not because you want control, but because you're trying to connect, and it feels like you're just missing each other. I remember standing in my kitchen, repeating myself, feeling that tightness in my chest that comes when you start wondering if you're doing something wrong. Not angry, just defeated. What I kept seeing, both in my own home and with clients, was that dogs who weren't listening were actually responding to something else: the environment, their body, their emotional capacity in that moment. And none of that shows up if we're only looking for obedience. There was a point where it clicked that I was asking for behavior, but my dogs were communicating something entirely different. For me, that showed up very clearly with Fitz and Toby. Fitz could hear a cue perfectly, but when his nervous system was overwhelmed, his body and his brain couldn't follow through. Toby, on the other hand, would shut down when the environment felt too loud or too close, even if he understood exactly what was being asked of him. For a long time, I treated these moments like refusal. Same expectations, same tone, same assumption that listening meant compliance. Nothing needed fixing in that moment, just listening in a different way. And that is when I realized this wasn't a disobedience problem. It was a communication gap. When I think about dogs who don't listen, this is usually what they're asking for beneath the frustration. I need you to notice what I'm dealing with before you ask me for more. Today's final question for reflection is: what might change if you stopped measuring listening by compliance? If it feels like your dog isn't listening, it doesn't mean they're being difficult. It means something is getting in the way of your connection. And when you start paying attention to that, things often feel less tense, even before anything else changes. So, be kind, spread joy, and remember, listening goes both ways. Thanks for listening to The Dog Who Asks for More. If feeding your dog feels stressful, confusing, or like you're constantly second-guessing yourself, you are not alone. I work with so many dog parents who feel stuck at mealtime, all worried that they're getting it wrong. That's why I created the Mini Bowl Blueprint, a free, simple guide with 3 realistic swaps that you can make right now to support digestion, reduce overwhelm, and bring more calm and confidence back into feeding. You'll find the link in the episode description. Go grab your copy and start making mealtime easier today. New episodes drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'll see you next time.